2 months after getting engaged, my fiancée and her first love posted a picture of their matching rings online. I immediately commented 99, only to get a call from my fiancée cursing me out. You need to apologize to Victor. Meanwhile, her first love took it up a notch by changing their profile picture to a couple's pic. So, I pulled my investment and called off the engagement. But then she cried, asking, "Are you going to leave me?" When Fiona came home late again, I was just tired. She said she wanted to eat my cooking, so I took off work and spent the afternoon in the kitchen. But I waited all night, and Fiona never showed. If it weren't for seeing Victor's social media, I'd have thought something happened to her. Watching that dinner get cold, my heart sank. "Is this chicken soup you made?" Fiona glances at the now cold and greasy soup, looking queasy. I nodded. "Jackson, are you nuts? I'm trying to lose weight and you make something this greasy?" Normally, I might argue, but I was just exhausted. But I'd seen Victor feeding her cake in his posts. Fiona realized something was up and didn't argue like usual. "Here's some seafood porridge Victor got you. You don't like him, but he still got you porridge. Jackson, you need to let it go." Victor and Fiona grew up together. They shared drinks, spoons, even beds. I told her to keep some distance, since we were engaged. At first, she'd patiently explain it was just a lifelong friendship. But eventually, she got irritated. She'd say, "If Victor hadn't gone abroad, I wouldn't even be marrying you." Fiona's friends would tell me they've always been like this, and her parents knew too, giving her a stern talking to. Fiona kept her distance for a while, yet Victor would still make jabs at me. "Jackson, see, I'm not next to Fiona, or we're drinking our own drinks, Jackson." But bit by bit, I got a rep for being controlling. Fiona thought I was driving a wedge between them. She never stuck up for me, and soon my image was muddy. "You've always treated Victor like this, but he's mature enough to ignore it. Can't you just leave him alone, Jackson?" I didn't argue. Fiona, seeing my cold reaction today, felt a bit guilty, remembering she flaked on me first. I looked at the cold seafood porridge and felt a pang of sadness. "You know I'm allergic to seafood, right?" Fiona looked shocked. She had no idea. "Jackson, are you making stuff up now? I've seen you eat seafood at parties." True, I'd had seafood in front of her before. So now, she just thought I was being dramatic and petty. I grimaced. When things were tense between Fiona and me, I tried to smooth things over, eating the seafood Victor gave me despite the nausea. I ended up vomiting in the bathroom, with Victor smirking beside me. "Jackson, I know you're allergic to seafood. That was on purpose." I glared back, desperately holding it together. "Do you think Fiona would believe you over the guy she grew up with?" Fiona thought I made myself sick just because Victor gave it to me. This only strained our relationship more. She publicly claimed, "Jackson's just uncouth. Can't handle high-class food. A bit of seafood makes him puke." My haters knew about my allergy, but my fiancé didn't. I stayed quiet and started cleaning up dinner. Fiona, feeling embarrassed, tried to make up, even offering a rare hug, something she'd usually never initiate. Back then, I thought she was just shy. Yet I'd seen her more than once being playful and affectionate with Victor. "Sorry about yesterday, Jackson," she said. "I went out too late with Victor, neglected you. Didn't you want to see that concert? We should go when we have time." I'd been excited about that concert tour and asked Fiona to go. But she kept saying she was too busy. Yet, Victor's post showed 2 tickets and Fiona seen from the back, listening to the concert with someone I love. The scent of Victor's usual cologne hit my nose and I just felt disgusted. I pushed away from her hug. "No point, the show's over." Fiona got annoyed. She'd never had to sweet-talk me before. "Can't you stop being so petty, Jackson? Even if Victor and I were something, what's it matter to you? Stop with the attitude." She got worked up and accidentally spilled the porridge on me. The seafood touched my skin and a rash flared up. Fiona was stunned. She hadn't realized I was really allergic. A tiny bit caused a rash, imagine a whole bite. I lifted my rash-covered hand. See, I wasn't lying. Fiona quickly drove me to the hospital, complaining all the way. "Jackson, why'd you have to be so immature? I believed you, no need to prove it like this." It's like she wasn't the one who spilled the porridge. Like I was just making a scene for no reason. I stayed silent. I hadn't slept all night and my empty stomach was making me a bit nauseous. Fiona's car smelled like smoke. That wasn't coming from me. Fiona never let anyone mess up her stuff. One time, my low blood sugar kicked in. I barely opened a Snickers bar before Fiona screamed, "Jackson, who said you could eat in my car? Are you dirty or what? I hate crumbs in my car. Get out right now." And just like that, she kicked me out, almost sending me to the hospital because of low blood sugar. I thought Fiona just had a cleanliness obsession, couldn't stand a speck of dirt. Yet I caught Victor smoking in her car more than once. Amidst the haze, Fiona took a deep inhale, her face even showing a bit of bliss. Victor gave the car a masculine touch. As soon as Fiona started the car, her phone rang. Without glancing at the screen, I knew who it was. I lay helplessly in the passenger seat. "How's Jackson doing? It's my fault. Got too carried away drinking last night. Didn't invite you. Did he have the seafood porridge yet? It's real nourishing." Victor's tone was casual. Seemed he forgot I'm allergic to seafood. Fiona glanced at me, but there was no guilt in her eyes, just complete bewilderment, like I should have made it clear. It's my fault they bought seafood porridge. I didn't have the strength to argue for myself. I just lay there, feeling depleted. Eventually, they chatted about who knows what, and Fiona parked the car right in front of Victor's place. "Wait here, I'll be back soon." I waited in the car for ages, scratching the rash on my hand almost raw, still no sign of her. I saw Victor's house lights on the whole time. Maybe Fiona forgot all about me by then. Finally, I called my assistant. By the time she arrived, I was on the brink of passing out. While I was out cold, Fiona practically blew up my phone with calls. When I woke up, I called her back. I was tired, fell asleep. Usually, when Fiona called, I'd pick up right away. But this time, it took me ages to get to my phone. Of course, Fiona wasn't happy being ignored. She let me have it over the phone. "Jackson, are you dead? Did you not see how many times I called?" Her words felt like they ripped my heart apart. She had left me in that car, forgotten I could pass out from an allergy attack at any time, and then she had the nerve to question me like that. I took a deep breath, thinking of all the times Fiona ignored or mocked me. "Fiona, let's break up." Fiona could hardly believe what she was hearing. After all, I'd been crazy about her. How could I bring up a breakup? "Jackson, are you out of your mind? Do you hear what you're saying?" I didn't try to calm her down as usual. With a steady voice, I said, "Let's break up. I'll tell your dad myself." Fiona hung up the phone. I started feeling a sense of relief I'd never felt before. Fiona always consumed so much of my energy. I had to constantly ride her emotional roller coaster, cater to her every whim, even heal from the wounds she inflicted. I'm so exhausted from this relationship. After a day off, I returned to the office like nothing changed. My assistant asked if Fiona and I had made up because I seemed in good spirits. I didn't say a word, out of respect for Fiona, not announcing our breakup yet. 10 days later, Fiona herself made lunch and brought it to the office. I hadn't told anyone about our split. My assistant still thought of Fiona as the boss's girl. I glanced at lunch, passed it to my assistant. "Boss, Fiona made this for you. Is it okay for me to eat it?" "I'm not hungry," I said and got back to work. Then, out of nowhere, Victor sent me a picture. A bed shot of him and Fiona. She was cuddled up to him, all smiles, and they were quite undressed. A challenge in both photo and message. If I hadn't gone abroad back then, you wouldn't even have had a chance with her. In the past, I would have lost my cool and argued with Fiona. Fiona would accuse me of being petty, and we'd have a huge fight. Victor would then comfort her, convincing her more and more that he was better for her. I forwarded the picture to Fiona. She spent the rest of the afternoon compulsively checking her social media, hoping I'd comment on lunch. I used to post about every gift she gave me, trying to showcase our love. Turns out, Fiona thought it was all silly. Jackson's so easy to please. I gave him a trinket and he shares it all over the place. Such a sheltered control freak. No idea why Dad wanted us engaged. Fiona freaked out as soon as she saw the picture. Jackson, let me explain. It's not what you think. I cut her off. Just don't let people snap those pictures next time. Fiona was speechless. She had a whole explanation prepared, swallowed by my simple advice. You're not mad? Fiona expected anger, rage, questions, not a curt reminder. You're not mad? Just looking out for you. Don't let someone take advantage of you. Fiona fell silent. I ended the call. I wasn't going to waste more energy on her. The company just scored a big project. So I decided to treat the team to dinner. At the bar, we ran into Victor and his group. Victor sneered at me. Did that photo I sent not get to you? Still hung up on Fiona. Huh? Fiona by his side seemed a bit surprised to see me, but she still kept up her cool demeanor. Jackson, are you nuts? Did you have someone follow me? How'd you know I'm here? Company dinner. Secretary made the reservation. I tossed out the line lightly. No arguments, no anger, no question, just simply answering the question. But I noticed a string of shiny prayer beads on Victor's wrist. As he raised his wine glass, Fiona's been weak since she was a kid. After the car accident with me, I always felt like my bad luck rubbed off on her. So I went through a whole ritual to get her those beads. When Fiona first saw them, she was a bit mad. Why's everyone else getting gold and diamonds? But I just get some beads? What era are we in, anyway? Who even wears these beads? But after putting them on, her health got better. Last month, I noticed the beads were gone. I casually asked, where are they? She brushed it off too. Left them on a business trip, maybe. I followed up. That's a shame. Didn't expect Fiona to snap. Are you nuts? They're gone when I say they're gone. What's there to be upset about those lousy beads? Why act all dramatic? Fiona noticed me staring at those same beads. She got a bit embarrassed. Jackson, it's not what you think. Victor said they bring safety, so I borrowed them. I didn't listen to her clumsy explanation. It's just beads. I said, I still have some work with my team. Let's talk another day. I turned and left. While chatting with my secretary, a ruckus and laughter erupted. The secretary glanced over. Boss, isn't that Fiona? I looked that way. King's game. The guy's gotta feed the girl a drink. Fiona straddled a nearly naked Victor. She seemed so at ease, like she'd done it countless times. Victor enjoyed it. I walked over. Before that drink reached Victor's mouth, I interrupted. I slapped them both. Fiona, a bit tipsy, got more angry than sober from the slap. Jackson, are you nuts? Why'd you slap me? It's just a game. Why take it so seriously? You're so petty. Others noticed the tension. They quickly tried to smooth things over. Jackson, just a game. Don't be mad, all just a game. I laughed bitterly and tossed my drink at Victor. For Fiona's sake, I'd always held back. Now I had no hope in them. Doused in my drink, Victor stumbled up, ready to hit me, but he was no match for me. He hardly landed a blow, stumbled thanks to his drunkenness. Fiona, we've been together for so long. Where did I wrong you? And this is how you act. I'll let your folks know we're canceling the engagement. I left, determined. Fiona sobered up at my words. She rushed after me, trying to explain. Jackson, listen, Victor got me drunk on purpose. These people were egging me on. It's not what you think. I swear, no more bar nights with Victor. Ignoring her, I instructed my secretary to draft a statement announcing our breakup. Fiona, seeing my silence, got agitated. Jackson, if you cancel, don't ever think I'll forgive you. A month ago, I might have begged for forgiveness, if I'd still cared. But now I ignored her threat, didn't buy it. But Fiona's nagging gave me a headache. I took a deep breath, calming myself. Fiona mistook this for fear, got cocky. Fiona, I warned you about keeping distance from Victor. What if I laid in bed with another woman, fed her wine mouth to mouth? You'd want distance, too. Why should I ignore you and Victor? She was speechless, probably rethinking her dynamic with Victor. So, Fiona, let's split. The day after I announced our broken engagement, Fiona's dad came to see me. The engagement was meant to save Fiona's company. Fiona's dad set conditions for marrying her, like injecting money into his business. I merged my startup into his, almost ended up being bought out. Jackson, are you really breaking the engagement? Fiona's dad, Leo, didn't sound bothered, like sure I wouldn't follow through. After all, everyone thought Fiona was a catch, pretty, college-educated, and from a wealthy family. Only her temper was a snag. Yes, Leo, we're done. No need to talk more. Don't want your company anymore. Huh? Leo tried to sound casual, but his words irked me. Sure. Leo's comeback made sense. Using this angle to threaten me. I'd sensed his intent to swallow up my business, but stayed quiet for Fiona. You think this will make me back down? Did you really think I didn't notice your attempts to mess with my company? I retorted. Leo didn't seem to expect I'd figure out his tactics, but there he was putting on a brave face. You're pretty bold. Huh? He said. What good do you think it does you to oppose me now? He insisted I should apologize to Fiona to make up, as if he was threatening me. If Leo could really harm my company, he would have already. No need for a verbal spar here. Leo was clearly annoyed by my words, and finally just hung up the phone. Just you wait. You'll regret today's decision. I chuckled. Getting involved with your family was my biggest regret. Then I thought about Victor, who bullied me countless times in the past. For Fiona's sake, I put up with Victor over and over. But now I feel utterly indifferent to Fiona, and it's time to get back at Victor. I set up Victor's work when he came back to the country. At first, I genuinely treated him as a friend. I even asked the company's boss to take care of him, so he wouldn't feel slighted. But he kept bullying others, acting arrogant. He thought Fiona arranged his job and mistreated me because of it. So I directly called his company's boss. The boss was surprised I called at this moment. Victor kind of offended me lately, I said. Do what you need to do. The boss didn't expect me to call about this, though he'd long been annoyed by Victor. Victor's work performance was mediocre, always sucking up to this person or that one. He'd also make moves on female colleagues. If it weren't for my sake, he would have been out a long time ago. Now that I personally brought it up, the boss was thrilled to get rid of a nobody. After a little chit-chat, I hung up. I thought the whole thing with Fiona was over. Didn't expect she'd stoop so low. To make me reconcile, she didn't mind trampling on my dignity. A few days later, someone uploaded the video from the bar confrontation with Fiona's group online. This woman is too boundaryless. She's got a boyfriend but feeds guys drinks mouth to mouth. First time seeing a literal side piece in action. How is this man so shameless, always exaggerating stuff? Look how that guy with control issues is just way too much. It's just a drink. Is it worth all this fuss? Online comments seemed tilted my way, but there were shills steering it towards Fiona. I figured this was Fiona's strategy against me. Sure enough, that night Fiona publicly questioned me on social media. She accused me of cheating while she was pregnant. She even pulled up fake pregnancy test results and photos of me walking with a female colleague. Fiona claims her family helped me rise after we got engaged. Figured she couldn't take it anymore and got close to Victor. Fiona's a top-ranked grad. Her whole post was melodramatic, full of her wronged feelings and pains. She painted me as two-faced and unfaithful. Fiona's hand at twisting things like that. She's not afraid of being exposed, but most folks don't know the real story, so many started blaming me. This dude's so shameless. Cheating during her pregnancy. If I hadn't witnessed it, I'd never believe it. Can't believe there's a man who scams with marriage and cheats. I felt bad for this guy at first, didn't know he had no limits. But this pregnancy test looks so fake, right? A few defending me were drowned out by the noise. I read these comments and slammed my phone against the wall. The device shattered instantly. My secretary heard the noise and came over to ask if I needed anything. Fiona hasn't changed, still loves stirring up trouble. If you want to smear me, bring it on. But I didn't clarify things right away. Letting some time pass makes sense. Jumping in too soon would seem panicky and indirectly confirms the accusations. By not rushing to clear things up, The next day, company stock tanked. Almost on cue, Leo's call came through. "Jackson, tough times." "Huh?" he sneered. "Told you not to go against me. Now look, stock's plummeting. You're hopeless. Apologize to Fiona now, maybe I can save your company," Leo offered. He's acting all smug. But if he had the money, he'd have already tried to buy my company. There's no need for threats here. His company's failing, grabbing mine was his endgame. But I wanted him to leave with some dignity. So I calmly responded, "Uncle, what nonsense are you spouting? My company's doing great, no need for your worry." Seeing I wasn't convinced, Leo grew angrier. "You're just pretending. If your stock drops any lower, you won't be able to save it, Jackson. You're really stuck on this, huh?" After hanging up on the furious middle-aged man, Fiona unexpectedly showed up later. Fiona looked rough, almost unwell. Her face was pale and weak-looking. A month ago, I would have fussed over her, but now my gaze was icy cold. She seemed bothered by my stare, her complexion paler. Still, she held her ground. "Jackson, why'd you fire Victor? If you're mad, take it out on me. If you apologize to Victor, maybe I'll take down what's online." Fiona forced calmness, delivering her lines smoothly. I chuckled back. "What makes you think you have any room to negotiate with me right now? Did you really think I wouldn't have the evidence to turn things around? Before, you might have taken advantage of my feelings for you to hurt me recklessly. But now, I don't love you anymore, Fiona. You don't have the power to hurt me anymore." After hearing this, Fiona's already pale face turned even whiter. Tears welled up in her eyes. She muttered, "How can you not love me? How can you not like me? You were always the one who loved me the most." "The Jackson who loved you died a long time ago," I said. "Every time you chipped away at my feelings for you, you killed that Jackson little by little." My words seemed to break Fiona. She started screaming. "The one thing I regret the most is being engaged to you." Hearing this, Fiona was driven to madness. She pushed me with all her might. "Jackson, you're hilarious. Did I beg you? Force you to marry me? I regret meeting you. If it weren't for you, I'd have left with Victor ages ago. But now I'm stuck marrying you. If you keep being so stubborn, don't blame us when things turn ugly." With that, Fiona stormed out, and I began my plan for revenge. I handed over a photo to a professional agency for analysis. To my surprise, they recognized it as photoshopped instantly, before even taking a close look. They asked if I wanted them to issue a report, and I nodded. I wondered if their happy days were about to end. I compiled all the phone recordings with Leo and Fiona. I finished compiling the evidence before sunrise and uploaded it online. When my boss found out Fiona's article was pulled from the site, I let him know the evidence had been uploaded. I nodded, acknowledging his message. I'd stayed up all night pulling together all that evidence. I hadn't been checking my phone. Once I turned it on, a flood of missed calls came rushing in, mostly from Leo. After I published my article, it caused his company's stock to plummet. Unlike Fiona's piece, mine was full of facts and professional reports. "Jackson, please," Leo begged. "Your article could destroy my family." I ignored him and headed out for food. He didn't consider the chaos Fiona's article brought me. It almost pushed me to the brink. Checking the time, I decided it was finally time to eat. Stepping to the door, I ran into Fiona and her crew. Leo dropped to his knees. "Jackson, Fiona made me do it. She tempted me. I'm begging you. Let me go." Victor quickly placed all the blame on Fiona. Fiona couldn't believe this man, her childhood friend, the same guy showering her with sweet words just days before. Since the hotel incident, Victor's life had spiraled. People on the street pointed and called him names, and the company fired him. That's when he learned Jackson was actually the owner. He was stunned. "Victor, were you out of your mind trying to seduce the manager's fiancée? Do you even know who Jackson is? He called to say you're no longer welcome here, and your deeds will be reported to the police," he was told. Panic-stricken, Victor realized Jackson, labeled as broke, was the real boss. Trembling at his past actions, he sought Jackson for forgiveness, hoping for mercy. Meanwhile, Fiona's situation worsened, slapped Victor in frustration. Online backlash overwhelmed her. She faced insults every time she stepped outside. Her father shouted at her for losing control of Victor, driving their company close to bankruptcy. She lost weight from all the stress, finally seeing how much Jackson protected her before. Now, she knew Jackson truly didn't love her anymore. She blamed Victor for everything. If it wasn't for your manipulation, I wouldn't have disliked Jackson. I lost Jackson because of you. Victor wasn't one to back down. He kicked Fiona. I thought you were a rich heiress. Turns out you're just a washed-up pretender. Did you think I actually liked you? I was after what I thought was family money. Your family's just an empty shell. Jackson's the one with funds. I was blind to ever choose you. I ignored their dispute, heading inside to eat, uninterested in their chaos. Soon after, I heard someone shout from outside, "Blood! There's blood! This lady seems to have miscarried. Call an ambulance." That fiasco ended with Fiona's miscarriage and Victor's arrest by the cops. Created a massive uproar at home. Victor's reckless kick resulted in Fiona's lifelong infertility. Although Victor wasn't detained long, he frequently tried reaching out to me. Security always turned him away. Seething, Victor took his anger out on Leo. This time, he really hit a wall. Leo decided to sue him for assault. On top of that, he was getting handsy with his female co-workers at the company. Pretty sure he's going to face some serious consequences. After Leo got out of the hospital, he came to find me. He said, "Jackson, can you go see Fiona? She's really sick now. I'm begging you, for the sake of your uncle over these years." I looked at the old man in front of me, with his gray hair. Just a few days ago, he was full of energy. Maybe everything that's happened in the past few months has really knocked him down hard. I nodded. Leo seemed to relax a bit, nodding too. He couldn't threaten me anymore. With the recent events going viral, his company was falling apart. The stocks were on the brink of collapse. The shareholders were all blaming Leo for starting this mess. Fiona and we'd only meet this once. After this, we'd probably never see each other again. The next day, I bought a bouquet of flowers on the street and went to the rehab center where Fiona was staying. Fiona wasn't the vibrant person she used to be. She looked weak. Her once rosy cheeks were now pale. It seemed the miscarriage and Victor's betrayal had really hit her hard. When Fiona saw me, there was a glimmer in her eyes. It seemed like she thought I came to forgive her. "Is it you, Jackson? Am I dreaming? I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. I'm so sorry. Now I realize how good you were to me. I didn't appreciate it. Please, Jackson, come back. I'll change all those mistakes. Please forgive me." Fiona cried her heart out, almost making me feel pity for her. But then I remembered everything she did to me. How could I forgive her? "Take care of yourself," I said and turned to leave the room, leaving Fiona crying her heart out. "Jackson, I'm sorry. Please forgive me," she pleaded. But I didn't comfort her like I did when we were in love. I didn't give her a simple hug. The Jackson that loved her was long gone, worn out by her time and again, into nothing. Maybe she'd live with regret, never forgiving herself for the hurt she caused me, which ultimately led to losing me. But I didn't want to think about it anymore. I'm heading toward a future that truly belongs to me.